Stanley Johnston did business with a handshake and an American quarter horse. Stanley started breeding horses in South Dakota with some Bivens horses, eventually ending up with a stallion named Poco Speedy and a mare band made up of daughters of Yellow Wasp. But when Stanley went to Arizona during the winter of 1963 and bought a gelding named Gray Chip, he changed breeding directions. Gray Chip was a roping horse by Driftwood, and Stanley intended to bulldog on him. However, after Stanley's son Randy started roping and doing well, Stanley noticed that he liked quite a few things about the horse himself. Arizona was full of Driftwood horses back then, Randy remembers. They were good to get along with. Whenever you showed them something, they tried to do it. You know how some horses you have to retrain them all the time? If you showed a Driftwood horse what you wanted to do, he just got better. Stanley liked that trait enough that he bought a band of Driftwood mares and crossed them with Poco Speedy, the horse who was probably his favorite. The resulting foals were exactly what Stanley was looking for. They had some speed and great minds. They were nice to work with and easy, so we liked them, Randy says. You could do anything on them. And buyers did do anything they wanted on those foals. Many found their way to the rodeo arena for speed events, from roping to steer wrestling to barrel racing. He tried to get his horses sold to people who could do things with them, Randy says. It was the best advertisement. Stanley bred more than 460 foals in his own name, including Sunfrost and Skidfrost by Doc's Jack Frost. Sunfrost is one of the leading sires of barrel racing horses in the United States, including French Flash Hawk, aka Bozo, and PC's Frenchmans Hayday. Skidfrost produced Precious Speck, a 4-time AQHA PRCA Heading Horse of the Year, bred by Walt and Pat Vermeidel of Cave Creek, who also owned Skidfrost. Everybody needs help, and he had the best help when I was young, Randy says. Jack Wolf and his wife Babe, along with Jim Blair and his wife Lois. They were just like family. We still keep in touch. Nobody does too good without help. With all of that help at home, Stanley showed Poco Speedy and Doc's Jack Frost to AQHA champion titles. Several Johnston-bred horses have been national rodeo stars, including Super San Wood, the 1996 AQHA PRCA Steer Wrestling Horse of the Year. And while those horses were working under the bright lights of rodeo arenas, many more found their way to ranches, where they became sturdy partners in the cattle work of the Dakotas. When Stanley Johnston died, he left a concentration of Driftwood blood that has stood the test of time, says pedigree expert Larry Thornton. The Stanley Johnston influence is as visible and relevant today as it was in formative years. Stanley died in 1982, but even today, many breeders in the Dakotas still advertise that their programs include Johnston-bred horses. I think Dad would be proud if people mentioned his name when they're talking about a horse they're proud of, Randy says.